Really? Trump didn't know what he was talking about? Well, that's hardly news, is it now?
Well, they said they didn't know what he was talking about, but the point being here that there is a disconnect, isn't there? And you've got a sort of scattergun approach.
Well, this is very much par for the course in the sense that he does do that. In other words, the idea is it's like a rabbit being chased by wolves. You have incredibly sharp turns to the right and left in order to mislead where the pack is going. So he has done that a lot in the past. Yes, I do. No, I won't. I never said that. Well, perhaps I did. I had second thoughts about the second thoughts, and then somebody explains what that actually meant, okay, instead of him. So without being too rude on the man, if I was a Chinese, I will simply carry on doing whatever I was doing, effectively disregarding what he has been saying. He has imposed additional tariffs. Fantastic. So will we.
Is there, in your view, any chance of a deal, or is there too much vacillation taking place?
Well, yes, there is.
And if there is one, do they stick by it? That's the other point. I'm talking about the Chinese and the US.
Well, this is the issue. The Chinese never did what Trump did. Yes, we will. No, we won't. Yes, we're going to impose. No, we won't. So in other words, the ball is in the Trump court. After all, he started the war. They didn't. All right. So to that extent, the Chinese, I'm sure, are willing to do a deal. But to do a deal, not necessarily exactly to their liking, but with some rules of engagement, which appears to be lacking right now.
Okay.
So can they do it? If the answer is yes, if it suits Trump. And it suits Trump if it's going to be good for his election performance. And I suspect he will have to do
so how much
a deal.
Is it gamesmanship is what you're suggesting here? Or brinkmanship even?
Yeah, but gosh. I can see his strategy, but his tactics are so absolutely wrong in supporting the strategy that it leaves me breathless. I mean, he's supposed to be the expert on the deal, and every single book on negotiation tells you that that's not the way to do it, because you lose complete credibility. So if you want to bluff, nobody's even will bother to call you bluff because it would not matter. So, you know, I'm not the one to give him advice on what to do, but definitely, let's say, looking at it from the outside, that ain't the way to go about it.
Andrew, in your business, what is the question you're being asked most? I suppose, what is the damage being done? How much are you seeing on the ground? And tell us about that. How much is China hurting? How much is the US hurting? Because insolvencies are certainly, according to our traders, a credit insurance company, saying that they are really on the way up.
Well, now, there are three things here, Richard, which I find it both sobering and, let's say, and frustrating. All the evidence that I have seen, Andrew Freris, okay, on the damage that the trade war so far has done to China and to the United States is tiny. It is very, very small. Point number one. So when they are talking about this is damaging the world, this is absolutely terrible.
But everybody's citing it.
Well, precisely, and this is what drives me absolutely bananas. And there are two things here. Is there a trade war? What does that mean? Is there lots and lots of countries putting tariffs on each other? Read my lips. No. It is only a war between China and the United States, with a little bit of every now and then side elbow kicks, okay, from the part of the United States by imposing some tariffs on solar panels, washing machine, steel, some aluminum exports, okay? And this has affected all other countries that are dealing with that, except, of course, immediately, the United States produced a huge list of exemptions, such as Brazil, such as South Korea escaped as long as it had some quotas. So if somebody's telling me, are countries putting tariffs on each other? No. United States is putting full tariffs on China, and it has put some tariffs on some goods on some countries. That doesn't count for me as a war. Is Japan imposing tariffs on Australia? No. Is Australia imposing tariffs on the European Union? No. Is Singapore...
Japan, South Korea?
Whoa. They are fighting over politics. Okay, that's an altogether different thing. Let's be very clear about this, because then we're going to mix up things. So whenever I come, and that's my second point on trade war, I say, sorry, don't call it a trade war. It is a war between the United States and China, and both countries are completely immune on their growth rates on what happens to their net exports. I'll say that slowly. They are not export-driven. So if exports come down quite significantly, so do inputs, the net exports remain approximately the same, and the impact on that on GDP is quite small. It is quite small. In the last 5 years, net exports made negative contribution to the growth in China, not positive contributions. So the second obsession that we're all going to die.
So where are these falling PMIs coming from, for instance?
That's the third point. You know, ignorance is an incredibly potent instrument of both terror and of use. Now, if I simply carry on saying that this is going to hurt us without bothering to look at the data, yeah, of course it's going to hurt us.